After graduating high school, my sister insisted on marrying a notorious delinquent, the worst student in her class, and she was pregnant. I told our parents, and they were forced to drag her to the hospital for an abortion. When she walked out, her eyes burned with hatred as she glared at me. From then on, she constantly picked fights, then secretly stole the household registration book and married that thug. After marriage, her in-laws disdained her, and her husband refused to work, instead philandering outside. She blamed me for everything. In a fit of rage, she stabbed me to death with a fruit knife. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day my sister threw a tantrum, demanding to marry that thug. This time, I said nothing. "I'm not studying anymore, I'm going to marry Hao," my sister declared. "Hao said his family owns a factory, and I'll directly inherit it. Every day I'll just eat well and dress nicely. Being a full-time housewife is enough, he'll support me for life." My sister rolled around, throwing a fit. Our parents were at their wits' end. This was their most beloved daughter. Ever since she was born, they couldn't bear to hit her, scold her, or even utter a single harsh word. My sister lived the life I had always dreamed of. Our parents always said that because they had me when they were young and inexperienced, they had to pamper my sister well, using every form of compensation to atone for their sins against me. But they forgot that the person they owed the most was me. My parents pleaded with her just like in my previous life. In my previous life, I had accidentally overheard my sister on the phone, saying she was pregnant. For her future, I spoke up. Our parents were forced to drag her to the hospital for an abortion. When she walked out, her eyes, filled with resentment, stared straight at me. She cried and cursed, saying I had ruined her life. She started smoking, drinking, and skipping school. She even secretly stole the household registration book from our parents to register her marriage. My sister never liked studying. Now she could be a housewife and enjoy a comfortable life. She was eager to marry Zhang Hao, and they had already registered. Hearing that his family owned a factory and certainly wasn't short on money, our parents agreed to prepare a bridal gift. But my sister said it wasn't necessary, not a single penny for the bridal gift. But the wedding should still be held, right? My sister then said there was no need for a wedding either, because the groom's family was a bit financially strained. Our parents sensed something was wrong and immediately investigated. Only then did they discover that Zhang Hao's family didn't own a factory at all. It was his second uncle's house, and their relationship was terrible. They weren't related in any significant way. Our parents were furious and demanded my sister get a divorce, but she refused. She insisted she didn't need anything, threatening to move in with Zhang Hao, and even claimed he was a potential stock, a rising star. The result was a chaotic marriage with her in-laws despising her, and after many years of marriage, she couldn't have children. Zhang Hao was incredibly lazy, never working. My sister was the one who worked. Zhang Hao spent my sister's money and still complained she was ugly and unattractive. Then he had an affair and my sister found out. They had a huge fight. Zhang Hao demanded a divorce, but my sister refused. My sister always resented me. Every time she came home, she badmouthed me relentlessly. Even my parents blamed me for revealing her pregnancy at the time, because if I hadn't said anything, they wouldn't have dragged my sister for an abortion. Now, watching my sister throw a tantrum, determined to jump into the fire pit, I remained silent. "Can't you advise your sister?" Mom demanded. "Isn't this ruining her future? What kind of sister are you? Are you just going to watch your sister jump into the fire pit? How could I have given birth to such a cold-hearted daughter like you? You have no sympathy for your parents at all." Dad glared at me. He couldn't bear to scold my sister, so he vented his anger on me. I indifferently turned and went back to my room. Advice falls on deaf ears for those who want to perish. Let go of the urge to help, respect others' fate, and keep blessings tightly sealed. Our parents eventually compromised, but there was one prerequisite: my sister had to finish college. After graduating from college, she can do whatever she wants. I knew what they were thinking, that my sister, once in college, would see more accomplished men and no longer yearn for a thug who hadn't even passed vocational school. But they underestimated my sister's love-struck brain. In my previous life, both my parents and I had pleaded with her endlessly. We urged her to divorce quickly. "Zhang Hao is a scoundrel," we'd say, but my sister would point at me and accuse me of forcing her to have an abortion, saying I was jealous of her, that I was prejudiced against Zhang Hao, and that Zhang Hao was smart, incredibly good at gaming, reaching the king rank. If he's so good at gaming, he's definitely a potential stock in real life. My sister also said Zhang Hao made delicious porridge. He had cooked it for her once, and she'd loved it ever since. Her shallow reasoning was truly powerful. My sister got her wish and openly dated Zhang Hao, but she carried a ticking time bomb in her belly, which would be discovered sooner or later. Without my intervention this time. This life, she successfully stole the household registration book, accelerating her choice down the same path as before. On the day they registered their marriage, she specifically brought Zhang Hao home and presented the marriage certificate. "Mom, Dad, I'm pregnant with Zhang Hao's child. To give the baby a complete family, I've already registered our marriage with Zhang Hao." My parents were furious, glaring at Zhang Hao with no trace of warmth. Everyone knew Zhang Hao was undoubtedly behind this, but my sister loved him too much to allow our parents to say anything bad about him. My parents, who utterly doted on my sister, naturally dared not say another word. Zhang Hao then turned his gaze to me, his eyes nakedly scanning me up and down, carrying that repulsive look I detested. I felt utterly disgusted, stood up, and intended to return to my room. My sister, however, rushed after me and slapped me. "Sister, are you trying to steal my husband too? You're disgusting, wearing that outfit to seduce my husband." I was just wearing a normal t-shirt and shorts. I calmly looked at her, then raised my hand and slapped her back. Slap, slap, 2 resounding slaps. My hand hurt quite a bit, but my face was expressionless. "Control your husband properly, don't let his eyes wander." I coldly glanced at Zhang Hao, only to find him looking at me with a peculiar interest, his eyes seeming to say, "She's definitely trying to attract my attention." That gaze made me nauseous. Pushing my startled sister aside, I slammed the door shut. Very quickly, the living room erupted in noise. I locked the door and my parents couldn't get in, but their voices, word by word, pierced my heart. "What kind of sister are you to hit your own sister? She's your biological sister. How could I have given birth to such a wicked daughter like you? What did your sister do to you? She just slapped you once. You're the elder sister, what's wrong with getting slapped once? You didn't lose any flesh." It was a long, long time before silence fell outside. I was so tired, physically and mentally exhausted. My parents' attitude only solidified my determination to leave. In my previous life, my sister's marriage was miserable, and my parents constantly pressured me, forcing me to provide for her. The down payment for my sister's house was paid by me. The car Zhang Hao drove was bought outright by me. Eventually, those 2 bloodsuckers clung to me, not only forcing me to pay their debts, but also plotting to seize all the assets under my name. And I genuinely felt guilty. Guilty because I had forced her to have an abortion back then, causing her infertility. I compensated her out of that guilt. As long as they mentioned it, whatever they wanted, I would give. But what was the end result? My sister still killed me. Infertility was my asterisk fault. Heaven had given me this chance. I would not interfere with any of my sister's actions. Let everyone see what consequences my sister would face, but I absolutely had to escape this family. Lying in bed, I thought it over and over. There was only one way to successfully leave home: marriage. But who could play this role? After all, getting married and then divorced still meant 2 husbands. After dinner, at my sister's insistence, Zhang Hao stayed over. As soon as I finished eating, I hid in my room, starting to figure out how to separate my household registration. Once my household registration was separate, the most my parents could do was sue me for alimony. Paying a few hundred yuan each month for support would be enough. These few hundred yuan were much better than the outcome of my previous life. Knock, knock, knock. I had just finished showering and opened the door. My sister and Zhang Hao were both standing outside. I didn't know what Zhang Hao had said to her, but she turned to me and said, "Sister, I'm pregnant. I can't do that anymore. My husband is too pent up. And you like to seduce him anyway, why don't you help him relieve himself?" After she finished speaking, Zhang Hao tried to step inside, licking his lips, his face full of lust. "I'm disgusted. I'm your elder sister." My face darkened, but my sister didn't care at all. "Exactly. If you weren't my sister, how could I give such a good opportunity to you? Hurry up, my husband needs to satisfy his urges." I immediately slammed the door shut, but it was too late. Zhang Hao was very strong. He directly kicked the door open. Even the latch fell to the floor. My bathrobe, already loosely tied, became even looser with that impact, revealing glimpses of what was underneath. I quickly clutched my bathrobe closed, looked up, and Zhang Hao directly lunged at me. I rolled to one side, stood up, and instinctively grabbed something to throw. Clang, clang, clang. It was the empty glass I had just finished drinking from. I gasped. Zhang Hao, you're committing a crime. My sister, still delicate, stood by. Aren't you dressed like this to seduce my husband? Now you have a chance to try him. Shouldn't you be grateful? Remember to use protection. Don't get pregnant. My husband wouldn't even look at you if it weren't for his physical needs. I truly thought my sister had something wrong in her head. Our parents must have heard the commotion. They rushed in. By then, Zhang Hao had me pinned down on the bed, and I was biting hard into his arm. Seeing Zhang Hao recoil in pain, I slipped away and hid behind my father. Even if my parents didn't dote on me, they wouldn't allow an outsider to bully their two daughters. Dad, who already disliked Zhang Hao, immediately charged at him, fighting him. However, my sister constantly shielded Zhang Hao, completely ignoring the bruises on Dad's face, only saying to him, "Dad, why are you hitting him? Zhang Hao isn't wrong, it was her who seduced him. I'm pregnant now and can't serve Zhang Hao. Since she wants it so much, just let her be a single mother or whatever." Dad was so angry his chest heaved violently. Mom, enraged, stepped forward and slapped my sister hard. Smack! The crisp sound of the slap silenced the entire room, and my heart slowly calmed down. My sister clutched her face, her eyes wide with disbelief. Mom, you hit me. All my life, you've never laid a hand on me, not even a harsh word. This was the first time I saw Mom, and inwardly I felt a surge of satisfaction. But seeing the deep guilt in her eyes and her rushing to repeatedly apologize, my heart sank to the bottom of an abyss. Zhang Hao angrily stormed off. My sister threw a massive tantrum at home, finally glaring at me with bloodshot eyes, pointing. "It's all your fault, sister. If you had just obediently helped Zhang Hao relieve himself, Mom wouldn't have hit me. It's all because of you." Mom said, "Yes, yes, yes, it's all your sister's fault. My sweet darling, let's not be angry anymore, okay? You still have our precious baby inside you." My sister lifted her chin, looking at me arrogantly. "Then make sister kneel down and apologize to me." Dad immediately glared at me fiercely. "Gu Ying, kneel down and apologize to your sister." I looked coldly at my parents, who recoiled, and my heart ached. This heart had been shattered and broken since my previous life. I was just a daughter who always fantasized that being reborn once might bring a little change. It seemed it was just an illusion. In my parents' eyes, my sister would always be more important than me. I looked coldly at Mom and laughed. "Mom, you're the one who should apologize to sister. You hit her. Sister has never been hit her whole life. How could you hit her? What you did was wrong. The one who should kneel and apologize is you. Besides, it's not that I wouldn't help Zhang Hao relieve himself, it's that you too rushed in. If you hadn't rushed in, Zhang Hao would have succeeded, wouldn't he? Right. It's all your fault, parents. Even if you heard a noise, you shouldn't have rushed in." I said something to Dad, then demanded that both my parents kneel and apologize. Seeing my parents' astonished looks, I laughed loudly, grabbed my packed suitcase, and directly left my family. I carried my suitcase to my best friend Shanlan's house. As soon as I entered, I didn't want to say anything, collapsing onto the sofa, lost in thought. My best friend was scared. From my left, she said, "Ying Ying, what's wrong? Are you okay? Did something happen at home?" Then from my right, "Why did you suddenly bring your suitcase?" "Ying Ying, say something. This is too scary, I'm worried sick." "Ying Ying, you haven't lost your soul, have you? Do we need to find a shaman to call it back?" Her family was harmonious, and I admired them immensely. She had an older brother named Shan Jin, who was extremely doting on his sister. In my opinion, Shanlan was truly the protagonist of a doting family story, lively and open, making others envious. I slowly snapped out of it and looked at my best friend. Lan, do you know any reliable men? Someone who wouldn't mind remarrying." Shanlan's eyes widened. "What do you want to do?" I hesitated slightly, then recounted what had happened these past few days, but I didn't mention being reborn. No one would believe me anyway. "I need a man to enter a fake marriage with me, then help me separate my household registration, and then divorce. The other person would most likely become a remarrier. If they don't mind, you can introduce them to me. After I move out, I'll give him a sum of money. Within my means, it won't be bad." I finished speaking, looking at her expectantly. Shanlan first scolded my sister fiercely, then criticized my parents for a while, finally looking at me and saying, "My brother was tricked into marriage before. Now, remarrying, at most it'll be his third marriage. He won't mind. Right, brother? She tilted her head and looked over. Only then did I realize Shan Jin had been sitting beside us all along. I didn't know when he arrived. I looked over. Shan Jin was elegantly sipping a cup of warm water. He and Shan Lan had completely opposite personalities. Shan Lan was carefree and lively, like an adorable little son. Shan Jin, on the other hand, was like the moon in the dark night, gentle yet distant, exuding a subtle aloofness. About this fake marriage incident, I also knew he had liked a woman. When it came time to discuss the wedding, the other party took the bridal gift and ran off. The police were called, she was found, and brought back. Since then, Shan Jin had lost interest in women and no longer had any intention of marrying. I looked at Shan Jin. I'm not sure if he'll agree. Shan Jin nodded faintly. All right. I stayed at my best friend's house for a few days before returning home. As soon as I got home, the house was in chaos, like chickens flying and dogs barking. After listening for a while, I learned that my parents had investigated. Zhang Hao was a con artist. They were urging my sister to divorce, but she refused to her dying breath. Our parents then dragged her to the hospital, but my sister threatened to die, resolutely insisting on keeping the baby in her womb. Unexpectedly, without my involvement, things had changed a bit. However, my parents had locked my sister up, saying they would only release her when she agreed to divorce. My sister stayed in her room, refusing to eat or drink. By the time I returned, it was the third day, and my parents were incredibly anxious. But for my sister's happiness, they could only do this. You go advise your sister, Mom said. That Zhang Hao is a huge con artist. His talk about opening a factory was all a scam. It was his second uncle's house. He had nothing to do with it. You're the elder sister. You can't just stand by and watch your sister jump into the fire pit. I coldly pulled my hand away. It's none of my business. I hadn't even finished speaking when Mom's angry slap landed on my face. Half of my face burned, but I didn't feel any pain. I see that you simply don't want to see your sister happy. Why are you so jealous of your sister? Yes, we didn't treat you well when you were little. You saw us treat your sister well, so you're jealous. But she's your family. At a time like this, why are you still so cruel? You're her older sister, and you don't care about her. What will happen to the rest of her life? My face was skewed from the slap. I calmly looked at the white-tiled floor reflecting the light, where my and Mom's shadows were cast. I smiled, turning my head to look directly into Mom's eyes. Mom, from childhood to adulthood, you and Dad neglected me and pampered my sister. I don't hate you, nor do I blame you. But why does my sister's own choices lead to my face being hurt, and then you blame me for being jealous of her? Isn't this the path she chose herself? My indifferent gaze looked straight at Mom. Her complexion was a bit unnatural. She avoided my gaze and continued to utter words that hurt me deeply. If not you, then who should we blame? You're the older sister, you don't advise her, and you've been out playing around these past few days. How can you be in the mood to play around? Don't you know what state your sister is in now? What kind of person is that Zhang Hao? Don't you know? How can you be so heartless? If your sister really marries Zhang Hao, it will definitely be your fault. The fault of an older sister like you, who coldly stood by and watched. As Mom spoke further, she seemed to regain her confidence, speaking more fiercely. My heart was dead. I didn't want to argue with her anymore. I just wanted to quickly leave this family that disgusted me. I sent a message to Shanjin. Very soon, Shanjin knocked on the door. I opened the door. Shanjin looked at me, his handsome eyebrows furrowed. What happened to your face? I shook my head slightly. It's nothing. Come in. Shanjin looked at me, his eyes showing clear concern for me. Does it hurt? I softly curved my lips. The suffering in my heart has long moved past my skin. The age of crying out in pain is long past. Mom knew Shanjin. She didn't understand why he brought fruit, but since he was an outsider, she couldn't show her displeasure. She smiled and approached him. Shanjin, it's not a holiday. Why are you here? Shanjin smiled gently. Hello, Auntie. I'm here to propose. I intend to register my marriage with Ying Ying. I hope Auntie can give us the household registration book. We're going to separate our household registration. He placed the fruit down. The betrothal gift of 66,000 yuan, I've already transferred to Ying Ying. The Shan family and my family had known each other for many years, fully aware of each other's backgrounds. Mom, of course, knew Shanjin's character well and what had happened to him. Mom pulled me aside. Shanjin is divorced, you know. I thought Mom cared about me, and a little warmth bloomed in my heart. It's okay, Mom, that was a fraudulent marriage. Shanjin also said he would treat me well in the future. But Mom replied, what do you mean, it's okay? 66,000 yuan is too little. You're remarrying, you're only getting 66,000 yuan. It should be 300,000 yuan. Your sister is pregnant and refuses to have an abortion. That Zhang Hao is unreliable. You're the elder sister, you have to think about your sister. 66,000 yuan isn't enough to raise your sister's child. Go demand 300,000 yuan from Shanjin. Otherwise, I won't agree. My heart instantly turned cold. So this was their plan. From childhood to adulthood, everything my sister did was right. Even a small matter could lead to praise for her. As for me, everything I did was taken for granted. My academic achievements weren't even allowed to surpass my sister's. Bearing it on normal days was one thing. For the college entrance exam, my parents even planned to lock me at home, just so I wouldn't outperform my sister. My sister would be sad, would be upset. I took a deep breath. The Shan family wasn't wealthy either, they could only offer 66,000 yuan. The 66,000 yuan was my own savings, originally intended to be given to them as repayment for raising me. Mom was unwilling. Fine, 66,000 yuan is still money, transfer it to me right away. Also, do you want to have a wedding? Don't bother, your sister hasn't even had a wedding yet. What would it look like if you, the older sister, had one? Otherwise, your sister will be sad. Save that money to raise your sister's child. This 66,000 yuan really isn't enough. Mom nagged incessantly, every word grating on my ears. Suddenly, I didn't even want to give them the 66,000 yuan. My face was cold. Sister, sister, always sister. From childhood to adulthood, no matter what, Mom, you always made me take care of my sister, but also tolerate her. Even for something as big as the college entrance exam, you made me concede to my sister. If I hadn't secretly run out, I wouldn't have been able to get into university. Hearing me complain, Mom became even more agitated than me. What's this fuss about? She's your biological sister. If you don't take care of her, who will? We give you some money and you're stingy, bringing up the college entrance exam again, what for? And didn't you pass anyway? Precisely because you passed, you harmed your sister, making her fail. If you hadn't taken a spot, would she have been rejected? Your father and I raised you to this age. It was truly a waste of effort. You've grown wings, daring to argue with your mother. I slowly calmed down. Give me the household registration book. I want to register my marriage to separate my household registration. She looked at me warily. Transfer the money first. Don't let me lose both the money and you. Who would Mom even demand it from then? I laughed, utterly exasperated. Mom, in your eyes, am I that kind of person? I'm also your daughter. You and Dad always say that you had me when you were young and inexperienced, and that you had to raise my sister well after she was born. But what about me? Clearly, I'm the one who should be apologized to, the one who needs compensation. Yet you don't care about my feelings at all. My sister has enjoyed parental love since birth. I've been forgotten by my parents for years. When my sister was born, I could only hide in a corner and admire her. Mom, being a mother, couldn't keep making things difficult forever. She awkwardly took out the household registration book. Here, take it, take it. You truly can't be relied upon for anything. Whenever we rely on you, you bring up rotten things. And then she started saying, it's natural for you as an older sister to yield to your younger sister, and you still feel wronged. If you feel so wronged, then don't be a sister anymore. Who told you to be born an older sister? I didn't want to hear anymore. I pulled Shanjin out of the house, slamming the door shut forcefully to express my dissatisfaction. Looking at the bright red marriage certificate and the brand new household registration book, I felt completely relieved. It just so happened that Shanjin knew people. With his help, my page in the old household registration book was cancelled and a new one was created. On the new one, my sister was now listed as the eldest daughter. They were now a family of 3. I was just an outsider. Thank you, I said, smiling faintly at Shanjin. Shanjin just curled his lips. It's nothing. It was 6 p.m. when I got home. I didn't know what Mom had said to my sister. When I walked in, I saw my sister sitting at the dining table, eating. Seeing me return, she only gave me an indifferent glance. Mom enthusiastically said, "You're back, come and eat." I shook my head. "No thanks, Shanjin is waiting for me downstairs." My sister scoffed. "A remarrier with a dowry of only 66,000 yuan? Only someone like you would bother marrying him." I was displeased. Marrying him is still better than marrying an empty-handed swindler. My Shan Jin has a decent job with a fixed monthly salary. My sister slammed her chopsticks down. What the hell do you know? Zhang Hao is a potential stock. What is that, Shan Jin? Just a company employee. A few $1,000 a month and you treat it like treasure. Right after her rant, she suddenly clutched her stomach, her face pale. She must have been so angry it affected her pregnancy. Dad angrily yelled at me. You came back to give money, now get out quickly. Why did you provoke your sister for no reason? Don't you know she's pregnant? I don't have money. I shot them a disdainful glance, tossed the household registration book onto the sofa, and turned to leave. Behind me, vicious curses followed. As soon as I got into the car, I saw my parents frantically help my sister into their car and speed off. Shan Jin looked at me. I looked at Shan Jin. The car started, following the car in front to the hospital. At the hospital, when Dad carried my sister out, I subtly noticed a red stain on her white dress. After a moment of thought, I followed them in. My sister was in the emergency room. My parents were completely absorbed, paying no attention to me at all. About 2 hours later, the emergency room doors opened. The doctor said, "The baby was saved. She just needs rest, staying still in bed, and nurturing until the 3-month mark when the pregnancy is stable." I was about to leave when my parents spotted me. They made a scene, pulling me back and demanding money, saying my sister needed rest and nutrition now, and as her older sister, I had to help. I chose to leave coldly. That evening, I chose to go to another city to work part-time for my tuition, changed my phone number, and completely cut off all contact with everyone in the Gu family. I earned tuition while studying and occasionally developed my small hobbies. In my previous life, I had my own small company, a new media company. My sister had caused trouble several times, making me miss several opportunities to get rich. New media is like that. It comes and goes quickly. If you don't seize the moment then, trying to seize it later is just a waste of resources. This time, I prepared in advance, intending to make a large sum when short videos appeared. The following days were busy but comfortable. That day, my best friend Shan Lan called me. During this summer break, Shan Lan called me every day, telling me what was happening there. My sister was still at home, resting for her pregnancy. My parents called me several times but couldn't reach me. Finally, they went to the Shan family's house and were driven away by Shan Lan's aunt and uncle. They made a scene, demanding the betrothal gift, and even called the police, but all attempts failed. Their reputation became terrible, and their relationship with the Shan family deteriorated to the extreme. Zhang Hao, who used to visit every day, started coming once a week and eventually stopped coming altogether. My sister couldn't stand it. Her belly was almost 3 months along. She went back to Zhang Hao's house, only to find another woman sitting on Zhang Hao's bed, with Zhang Hao meticulously massaging her feet. My sister furiously rushed forward and tore the other girl's clothes, but Zhang Hao kicked her in the stomach. The kick landed directly on her belly, causing non-stop bleeding right there. By the time she was taken to the hospital, the baby was lost. My sister cried and screamed, grabbing Zhang Hao and absolutely refusing to divorce, demanding Zhang Hao leave the other girl. "I'll live a good life with him." As a result, Zhang Hao gave her a brutal beating. Also, because my sister was making such a scene, the girl with Zhang Hao, disgusted, went straight home. Zhang Hao, enraged, beat my sister again. According to Shan Lan, that other girl's family was quite wealthy. Not only did they not demand a betrothal gift from her parents, but they also planned to provide a house and have Zhang Hao live as a son-in-law, giving him monthly allowance. Zhang Hao had been very eager at that time, pretending to be nice, just to trick that girl into getting pregnant and then registering their marriage. I didn't understand the meaning of this sentence. Hadn't he already registered his marriage with my sister? Shan Lan laughed heartily. "It was fake. Your sister is incredibly stupid." Zhang Hao tricked her. He took the household registration book himself, walked around inside, came out, and then gave her 2 fake marriage certificates. I smiled faintly, my mind at peace. I still wouldn't forgive them, but hatred no longer consumed everything within me. My world still had many beautiful things to experience. My sister's life was miserable. That other girl left. Zhang Hao could only accept my sister. Anyway, she was a woman, and when he was unhappy, he would beat and verbally abuse her. From then on, my sister became even more diligent. Every 3 days, she would return to our parents' home to take things and money to make up for her in-laws, afraid of being disliked by Zhang Hao. Our parents were driven crazy by my sister's love-struck brain, but they still doted on her. There was no way they couldn't cut her off. Zhang Hao also got involved in gambling, sinking deeper and deeper, and quickly accumulated a huge debt. In my previous life, Zhang Hao indeed got into gambling, but I stopped it in time. In the early stages of his gambling, when I discovered he owed over 100,000 yuan, my sister cried in front of me. Zhang Hao then kept it in mind. Although he would gamble small amounts, it didn't cause any major problems. This life, without my intervention, Zhang Hao's gambling debt was close to 1,000,000 yuan. Shan Lan secretly rejoiced. Good thing you ran away. If you were still on the household registration, your phone would definitely be ringing off the hook. As the new school term approached, my new media studio began to take shape. We had started preparing content that could instantly go viral, and my small artistic hobbies were also generating income with quite good feedback. I had originally planned to open a small factory, but opening a factory would definitely require me to return to this area, as there were many excellent partners I needed here. But if I opened it, my family would certainly cause trouble, and I still needed to go to school, so I temporarily put it aside. On the first day of school, I happily walked through the school gates. Across the road, a disheveled woman slowly walked towards me. A single glance was all it took for me to recognize who it was, my sister. I looked at her hand, hidden behind her back. It was surely clutching a sharp fruit knife. She was just like in my previous life, planning to approach me first, then find an opportunity to deal with me. It's just that I didn't understand what reason she still had to hate me this life. Her baby was kicked away by Zhang Hao himself. "Sister?" My sister's pathetic voice rang out. Her hair was messy, her clothes clung tightly to her, probably to hide the scars of abuse on her body. Her face was covered in tears, her eyes frantic and fearful. "Sister, I beg you, save me, sister. Zhang Hao is an animal, he owes millions outside. I told him to go earn money, but he beat me instead and took the money I earned. He goes out looking for other women. Boo-hoo-hoo, sister, Mom and Dad don't want me anymore. I can only come to you, sister. You can't not want me, sister." I calmly looked at her. My sister's eyes lit up when she heard me. "Help me pay off Zhang Hao's debts. Once it's paid, Zhang Hao said he'll live a good life from now on and absolutely won't gamble anymore." I slowly retreated, pulling out the self-defense tool I had prepared. "This is your own doing." My sister froze. I coldly smiled, continuing to provoke her. "What kind of person is Zhang Hao? Don't you know, yet you still fantasize about saving him." My sister truly reads too many idiotic novels. Fantasizing that a bad guy can change for you. Besides, now I'm not your elder sister. You are the eldest daughter in the family. My sister cried and laughed simultaneously, muttering curses under her breath, essentially calling me selfish and saying I should have helped her. As she spoke, she suddenly pulled out the fruit knife and lunged. My sister charged at me just like in my previous life, but this time I dodged. Clutching the electric stun baton I had prepared, I directly incapacitated her. Very quickly, the police arrived and took her away. This was near the school, and there was a police station nearby. According to Article 232 of the Criminal Law of the People's Republic of China, intentional homicide is punishable by death, life imprisonment, or fixed-term imprisonment of 10 years or more. According to the provisions of criminal law, attempted intentional homicide is still prosecuted for intentional homicide. I was studying when my teacher suddenly found me, saying, "Your parents are urgently looking for you." At the school gate, I knew why they were looking for me. After all, my sister's incident had caused a huge commotion everywhere. Now she was suffering in police detention. They must have seen her and then rushed to find me, telling me to ease up. I stepped out and looked at my parents' faces. They seemed to have aged a great deal in an instant, their hair visibly grayer. "Dad, Mom." Dad rushed forward, intending to hit me, but I didn't give him the chance. I leaned back, dodging. He glared at me, his eyes full of disbelief that I would dodge. I said faintly, "If there's nothing else, I need to go to class now." Mom, with red eyes, scolded me. "What kind of sister are you? Your sister was just joking. How could she really kill you? She was just tortured by Zhang Hao and wanted you to save her. But you sent her to the police station. Go rescue your sister quickly. Don't you know how miserable it is in detention?" I cut off Mom's nagging. "Is there nothing else? Then I'm leaving." Dad was displeased with my attitude. "Gu Ying, your father and I raised you to this age. Now you've grown wings, you won't even listen to your elders. Release your sister quickly. If you don't release her, your father and I will come to your school and cause a scene every day." When I saw my parents, I had once thought about explaining, but with each of them throwing accusations at me, I no longer had any desire to explain. Gu Kaio wanted to kill me, but it was just a joke. Suit yourselves. I walked into the school gate and immediately called the police. Very quickly, my parents, who were causing a commotion at the gate, were taken away by the police. There was a lot of gossip on campus, both good and bad, mostly malicious speculation. Having lived another life, I was indifferent to these things. But then, an explanation of what had happened to me suddenly appeared on the school forum. Immediately, all the students and teachers in the school treated me very kindly. I looked at the words on the forum and knew it was Shanjin. My parents had looked for me several more times, trying every way to block me at the school gate. This couldn't go on, so I directly transferred schools. My parents couldn't find me, so of course, they poured all their efforts into my sister, begging and borrowing money everywhere, just hoping to get her out. According to Shanjin, they did indeed get her out, claiming my sister suffered from domestic violence, which led to mental issues, causing her to temporarily lose control. Shanjin muttered over the phone. Initially, she was sentenced to life imprisonment, but now, because of mental illness, she's been sentenced to 20 years. I gave a faint laugh. 20 years? That's fine. After 20 years, she'll be a wreck anyway. My dear sister, this is the path you chose yourself. It has nothing to do with me. 20 years would bring many changes. If she didn't bother me after getting out, I'd pretend not to know her. If she did bother me again, I also had ways to put her in another painful place. Graduation coincided with the peak of new media. I brought Shanlan in to work with me. Our two families' lives became increasingly prosperous, and the company grew stronger and stronger. That day, Shanlan told me, "Your parents came to my house several times. They stalked you, couldn't find you, so they started staking out other places you might go. They stalked for over half a year, couldn't find you, so they disappeared. Don't know where they went. Oh, right, Zhang Hao died." I was slightly startled. How did he die? Shanlan's face was disgusted. He was doing that thing, too much of it, and he was doing it on that young girl, then suddenly collapsed and died. Poor girl. A living person died right in front of her. That trauma won't be erased for life. His parents, due to overwhelming debt, also ran away. Just a few days before my birthday recently, I remembered that Shan Jin and I were still legally married. For so many years, I had been immersed in studying and building my company, completely forgetting about this. Shanjin was almost 40, and what if one day he wanted to get married? This nominal wife, was truly taking up space. So, after settling this matter, I arranged to meet Shanjin at the Bureau of Civil Affairs. A month later, the cooling-off period for my and Shanjin's divorce was over. Looking at the bright red divorce certificate, I said apologetically, "I'm sorry, I made you get another divorce." Shanjin looked at me, his expression as calm as ever. "It's fine. I wasn't going to remarry anyway." I thought, me neither. From the very beginning, when I proposed this marriage of convenience to escape, I had no intention of remarrying. New media continued to flourish, with waves of trends constantly emerging. Now my company was stable. Even without my direct oversight, the company could operate normally. I just needed to occasionally come in and sign a few documents. The Shan family also transformed from an ordinary family into the influential Shan family of a large company. Shan Lan became the CEO, and she was equally sharp in new media. Recently, she had released several videos that went viral across the entire internet, with countless people imitating them. Of course, I wasn't weak either. At that time, I was able to stand firm in the volatile new media market, based on my own solid capabilities. When another short film went viral, Shan Lan invited me to dinner. We went to a restaurant where each person's meal cost tens of thousands of yuan. Shan Lan and Shan Jin raised their glasses to me, and together we drained our ruby red wine. We gently put our glasses down. Shan Jin took charge of pouring wine for us. He looked at me and smiled. "Ying Ying, come to my place for the new year this year. Otherwise, being alone like this every year is meaningless. At my house, you can even play games with me for a while." Just then, fireworks exploded outside the window. I looked out, gently saying, "I've grown accustomed to the quiet of being alone." Shenlan nudged me with her elbow, leaning closer. "Your company has so many fresh meat, young, handsome guys. Isn't there anyone you fancy? Even if you don't marry, dating a little is fine. Being alone is so boring." I looked at her helplessly. "The company prohibits internal relationships." Shanlan pouted. "You're the boss." If you like someone, just sponsor them. If you don't like them anymore, just let them go back to work. I burst out laughing. You really are clever.